that's fucked up. I must be dreaming though. You know, you cannot expect, like, I see some calculation, and I do understand that, you know, a bunch of people in the US too, you know, if we leave the intelligentsia, I said the bad word, the intelligentsia is fighting the fascists, but the intelligentsia already left the country. So I'm a minority fighting the fascists that is actually from a microcosm that we are all from, you know. But unfortunately, because it is divided the same way as India, it's not possible for people from, you know, modest or poor background to actually acquire a universal education. Now we have a simulacra of a medium of a middle class, and the middle class here started 20 years ago too, by I guess when Hassan Tani died too. It's not that easy, it's really not that easy. My thesis was on the Arab Spring, as everyone knows by now, and I have been studying post-colonialism a lot to understand how outbursts, you know, of violence could actually emerge, or just like uprisings, you know. No revolution per se, because that's the new thing. We have established that history per se doesn't exist as long as the globalized world has been made in orbit for the global information. But we're still struggling with some countries because they're not able to actually democratize themselves, so everything is underground, all the economy is underground, and everything that they are doing is selling the country and their people as a cheap, again, you know, kind of easy workers that they could have, just so a very, very small percentage of the population could actually earn that. So we're still pretty much feudal, actually, you know, still pretty much feudal, with like a law that helps every kind of human trafficking to actually come in here, a law that allows a bunch of drug trafficking to come in here, because as I said yesterday, both of those industries are illegal, but still they're the biggest industries of this country. That means that pretty much all the people who are going to Panama to launder their money, the people who just want to launder their money with prostitution and drugs, would actually come to Morocco. So there is no, you know, there is no, again, this is pretty obvious when you look at the thing from outside. The only thing that people don't actually realize is that people are stuck in here because they have no information. So we can compare Morocco to North Korea because of that, because of all the people who actually stayed here and weren't pushed to quit their bubble, would actually end up in a very restrictive setup that is also considered like a, like, you know, an indoctrination to a cult, or just like you have to shut up, or you have to put a fucking veil on your face and just like marry a stupid guy so you don't have an existence. Just don't talk. Women, they don't like women to talk in Morocco, so they don't like me. I'm talking also about my family. When they have to talk, the women in my family, they're just like, you know. So I feel that also that was like sent on me. I don't know who was talking about like an ugly laughter, but at least I speak, you know. I'm just not giggling at the face of a male who's like speaking to me. But that's Morocco though, you know. A bunch of people have been very nice to Morocco, comparing this aspect to that of Japan, you know. Japan has a bunch of issues too with America because of Pearl Harbor, but also because of their own representation of the women, and they have this thing that is kind of close to the harem, and it's called, you know, the geishas. So you would have the geishas and you would have the harems, and this is pretty much the same principle. It's sexual slavery. So like you can take pretty much all the excuses that you want. If you ever were aware of that and you actually took, you know, a place within that to make it happen, or just like, you know, provide you, that means that you are like my mom, you are complicit of sex trafficking and you are the head of the UN for the country, you know. This is a fucking shame. I repeat myself, this is a fucking shame. This is a fucking shame. I feel that the illness of this country is that because they have been in this bubble without no awareness of the outside world, you know, and also this kind of impossibility to speak themselves because of self, what do you call that? Censorship, you know. So people wouldn't talk and they would just like keep their privileges, because that there's also that there's a in the white supremacy there that is here that I'll call white supremacy, while they're white and brown, you know, you would actually have the exact same result as, you know, the one person would actually provide, except that here you have again critical liability. One, they're complicit of pedopornography, so it's bad. Because they weren't minor, that's for sure. They were major, you know. They're complicit also of drug trafficking, because most of them are related to the big pharma, if they weren't at the head of it. So they were actually able to access a bunch of drugs, legal drug, that would put people in a second state, so they could actually use that, you know, and even putting your teenager under, you know, we cannot prove all of that, but I'm telling you that this is true, because like when they started to realize the abuses of psychiatry in the UK, that was by the end of the 19th century, and that was pretty much the same. You know, when you watch Girl Interrupted, that's what you see, that they would actually put in mental institute women that they thought they were, you know, like from risk use or things like that. But these women, they weren't 13-year-old girls, you know, they were maybe 17 or things like that. So this is very different. It's not exploiting a child at the very beginning of, you know, their brain processing to make them believe that whatever is happening, this gaslighting that was meant to them, is the only option that actually exists because of the backwardness of the country. I call out bullcrap, and if I have to feel another complaint the same way I did for my father for the way my mom handled the thing, the only thing is that they killed pretty much everyone, so we don't have enough witnesses. I would have loved my psychiatrist in here to be alive, because she would have been the one. Maybe that's why she died, because she knew that, you know, she was giving me meds that I shouldn't be taking at the first place. What do you know that I should know before we all die?